Welcome back to the Dr. Des Show. I'm Dr. Des, and today we are going to be talking all about consulting while working a full-time job. I know that in 2025, everybody got a side hustle. Whether you are walking dogs, you are, selling shirts or, doing whatever on the side. Like usually everybody that I know has some type of side hustle. And for my public health professionals, a lot of times that is going to be consulting for us. So we are going to be helping other organizations solve some type of problem. We're going to be helping them do their strategic plan. We're going to be helping them do a little evaluation, do a little program support. And you may come in and actually just do like some event coordination or just work an event for them for a set amount of time. I know for me, back in the day, your girl used to be the queen of side hustles. Like I had several side hustles. I was a Coke Zero cheerleader back when I worked in college. So that was extremely interesting. So I was advertising Coke Zero and was a cheerleader. I also sold mixtapes in high school. Definitely did that. LimeWire was my friend. I sold candy. I did a lot of things. I sold study guides in college. Yeah, I did so many things. But consulting is the perfect side hustle. Needless to say, consulting is the most money I ever made as a side hustle. Listen, the study guys, they were selling like hotcakes, but I wasn't charging that much for it. But consulting is really that thing. So if you are a public health professional with any type of public health experience, let's talk about how you can do this on the side of your full-time job, okay? Before we dive in, make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast. All right, guys? Like it, share it, comment on it. Let me know what you think. And then also make sure that you share it with somebody else who may be thinking about consulting or may be considering doing this, right? So let's dive in. Number one, why consulting is literally the perfect side hustle, okay? So, number one, you don't need to quit your job to start consulting. I recommend you stay employed while doing this because, number one, that money that you get from your job is going to actually fuel your consulting business because it's going to take a little bit of money. Maybe, honestly, a lot of it is going to be your time in the beginning, the time to put together a proposal, put together materials, put together all these things. But if you eventually want to build a website, you want to start doing some more intricate things like having a CRM system like Honeybook, a client relations management system, or Honeybook or Dubsado. Those things cost money, and your full-time job can help pay that, especially if you're not making any money right now when you first start off, okay? So you can have that steady income to fund your business. You can build a brand and your client base without having to have that much pressure of saying like, oh my God, I gotta make this money, like, or else I can't pay my bills, my light bill, all of those things, right? Having a job can definitely keep you financially secure while you start this, okay? And you have to, I wouldn't say you have to, but I would always recommend for people to build this runway before you just jump off the cliff, okay? So many people I have seen, and I see even like people that are not in the consulting space or in our space in public health, but so many people I have seen like they start a business and then they just go all in. And granted, for some people it works, but for a lot of people, they struggle, okay? And a lot of people will go back to their 9 to 5 and they feel like they should have never left. But I want you to make sure that whatever you're doing it legally, strategically, ethically, right? And this speaks to that strategic part. Be strategic. For me, when I started my consulting business, I did it for so long on the side of my full-time job. I just left my full-time job in October of 2024, right? So not quite a year yet, but I built it up, right? I built up my clientele. I built up the public health club. I built up these things. Yes, it was crazy. It was a lot, but it worked, guys. It worked, and I was able to actually pay my bills and work on something else, my passion project on the side. And yes, I did have a child and a husband too. So there's a lot going on. Number two is you want to check your employee handbook, okay? Because doing this on the side of your full-time job, it's great, but you also want to make sure that you're allowed to do this, okay? And you're doing it that this is where ethics come in, ethically, right? So a lot of jobs will have like an ethics department or you have HR, right? Everybody got HR. go to them and talk to them. Review what's in your handbook about taking on other businesses. A lot of time, if you work for like a state, local government, a lot of times they just want you to disclose that that's what you're doing, and that's fine, right? Some other companies will want you to disclose it, and they will have to do some research or maybe ask you some questions to make sure it's not a conflict of interest, okay? And then others may just say, like the federal government. So yes, if you are a CDC employee or any type of federal government employee, you can build a consulting business. You just cannot accept any federal funds. So they have certain clauses. Some may even have like certain areas where you can't consult. I don't know, but you always want to make sure that you check and that you do things on the up and up, because what you don't want to happen is they come in and they find out like, oh, such and such been consulting on the side and you built this consulting business on the side, and you just, you just out here just doing things, right? So that is something that you don't want to happen, and then you get in trouble, you might get fired, now you lose that income for real, okay? We don't want that to happen to you. So make sure that you are checking that employee handbook. Next, time management, guys. I will not lie to you all and say I'm the queen of time management. I will say I'm getting better with time management. If you do follow me on Instagram at Desiree Courtney J, or if you are in our CEO circle, then you know all about how I time block my weeks now. Every Monday or even Sunday sometimes, I will go ahead and in ChatGPT, me and Chat, we just have all these conversations. I tell Chat all of my meetings for the week. I tell Chat all the things I got to get done, any deadlines I got, and Chat goes ahead and time blocks my week for me. So now every week I have a schedule of all the things I need to get done and everything like that. So I wish I would have started doing this when I was working a full-time job. Wish, but no, I did not. But know that time management is definitely the real flex. So number one, like I said, time blocks so you can actually do client work. So some jobs may be really particular. Maybe you work in the office, so the only time you can do client work is outside of normal work hours, and that's completely fine. If you want to do client work outside of normal work hours, that's fine. I would recommend that you have those emails scheduled to go out in the morning during work hours, because they working during work hours, right? So now if you up till 2 in the morning, don't send them people no emails at 2 in the morning if you can help it. Go ahead and just use that little schedule button and schedule that email to go out at 9 a.m. or whatever, right? That's a pro tip right there. Same for your work. If you work from home, like what I did, that was a pro tip for me, because your girl was doing some late nights, right? It's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you, especially if you have a kid or multiple kids. Like, it's a lot. You will probably be sleep deprived in doing this. But at the end of the day, if you go back to my other episodes of thinking like a CEO versus a founder, you want to transition from being that founder to being that CEO. And being that CEO means that you are thinking strategically and being the visionary for your business, and you're telling it where to go. You're planning, you're doing things. You're not putting in those 20-hour days and doing all those things, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing that and using tools to like stay organized. Like, there are so many tools out there now. Always monitor and audit your tech stack, because what you don't want to happen is you got 5 million different tools that you're utilizing, and it's just too much. You paying for 20 different softwares, right? Use Google Calendar. Of course, Google's great, right? Use Google. But for me, for my business now, I use Asana. When I first started, literally, now you have ChatGPT, like, and I think when I first started, like, I think ChatGPT was like slowly coming out, but I did not use ChatGPT at all for my business. When I first started developing proposals, doing all the things, Chat wasn't there for me. But now me and Chat, we locked in. Y'all know. But I say that to say, like, utilize that to really stay organized and on top of what you have to do, especially for client work, because your name, your business name, your professional name, it gets out there. And public health, like, it's a lot we can do in public health. It's a lot of people doing a lot of things in public health, but people talk to each other. And what you don't want is the people say, oh yeah, don't work with such and such because they never got their assignments into me on time. They never did this on time. Like, don't work with them, because your name will carry. All right. Limit how many clients you take on at a time. Now, for my people who like a lot, let me preface this with saying a lot of times your first clients may come from who you actually know in your network. Do all the reach outs, but have a limit. Okay. You cannot do it all. And this kind of really leads into my next thing of subcontracting. guys, listen. As you are building this business, as you are growing, you are probably going to be the one doing all of the work in the beginning. Figure out what you can delegate out and delegate it, okay? Especially if you want to keep that full-time job, delegate it out. Like for me, with my full-time job, my first contract, I said, okay, they want me to develop this survey, do the survey, maybe do some focus groups. They want me to develop an assessment based on that. Then I got to develop a training based on that. Then I got to evaluate the training. All right, what part do I least do? Am I just don't want to do really? The evaluation part was what I didn't want to do. So I hit up one of my colleagues. I said, hey, I got some cash for you if you want to do an evaluation. She said, hey, where I go? Like, what you need? So she led the evaluation aspect of that, right? I also, like, when I needed part of a presentation done and I was like, ooh, I know somebody who's an expert in that area and they could really add to it. Hey, here's how much I'm willing to give. Can you do X, Y, and Z? I gave them clear tasks, clear deliverables. I actually gave them a contract as well. And bam, now they're doing this under my company. I mean, it's only as hard as you make it. A lot of times we always feel like we have to be the one to do things. We have to do it all ourselves. But no, you do not have to do everything yourself, okay? Get help, especially as you're growing, especially as you're building, and especially as you are working a full-time job, all right? Like, that is key. And yes, you can hire people early on, all right? They are going to be 1099 contractors. You are not paying them a salary. You are not paying health insurance. You giving them the money, but you are going through it like you're getting their W-9, and then you are giving them a form at the end of the year or beginning of the year for their taxes. And there we go, okay? Like, it's only hard if you make it hard, okay? Next, we want to talk about pricing your services. Now, a lot of times, like, because you're part-time and you're consulting on the side, that does not mean you have to charge low prices. Okay? Consultants make money. They make premium money because a lot of times you are consulting with an organization that has money to give you. They got the budget. Ask for the money, okay? And how do you like really price your services when you're consulting on the side? So number one, a lot of times we may apply for RFPs, and a lot of times, not all the times, they will give you a budget, okay? They may give you a budget. Like the one that I got, I think the first one, their max budget was like maybe like 45. And I think I came in with my proposal at 40. And they liked it. So I got 40K, right? And granted, that was a deliverables-based contract. So it was split out, right? So like I submitted a evaluation, I got 5,000. I submitted this, I got 10,000. I submitted this, I got 5,000. Like it was, scoped out within the budget. But pricing your services, don't undercharge yourself is one of the things I'm going to say. If you are serious and you're in that mode of how do I price my services, head to our website, go to publichealthclub.com, click on resources and click on premium resources. We have a public health consulting pricing guide that you can purchase, and literally it has a pricing score sheet, has all of these things for you to help develop your actual service prices, goes into the difference of like having retainer clients versus having clients doing one-off versus deliverable based, all of these different things. That will show you how to calculate your ideal hourly rate. All right. But yeah, know your worth and then add tax. Okay. Especially when you are consulting and you're an entrepreneur. All right. So, and then also don't forget to, like, when you're a consultant, like you're doing this on the side, you got to set aside your own taxes, my friend. My rule of thumb when I first started was like, okay, I don't have a CPA. I didn't have a CPA at the time. So I was like, all right, I'm going to just set aside like 20 to 30% of every deliverable payment that I get for taxes. And that worked extremely well. I may have had like 2 grand maybe left over for the amount that I had to pay. Like left over for me to just like do anything I want with. But that amount, it worked for me. Now, since I have a CPA, I'm being a lot smarter with my tax strategies because taxes, all of that, especially for small business owners, it is a whole beast. And I 100% recommend if you are starting to make money, you're having a consistent flow of income, get you somebody to know what they're doing. Okay. Like don't just try to do it out here yourself, because for longest time, I was using TurboTax, and listen, it started looking a whole lot like jail time at some point, because I was like, that can't be right. Like, what? am I doing over here? And then sometimes it would be like I owe like a crazy amount. And then I'll be like, dang, I know that can't be right. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help now because it got a lot more complicated than just me, especially when I like added a husband into that, like added all of these different things into that. So yeah, it's okay, guys. It's okay. All right. So some of you too may be listening like, Dr. Des, I can't be too loud on the side business yet. I gotta do this a little bit quietly, not, I don't want to shake no tables with people. I just want to do this in silence and kind of keep this separate from my job. And that's fine, right? That is completely fine. Okay. Here are some strategies for you to do that. Okay. Number one, you can use your LLC name over your name. All right. Use your business name. Don't use your name. Okay. So when you go list it and do things and put things out there, use your business name, all right? Get a separate LinkedIn page for your business. You don't have to talk about things on your page, your personal page, even though if you are a consultant and you're building that, I would recommend you do it, but you don't have to. You can literally start a business page and just start posting from there, right? So now people are doing the business, right? They're talking about the business. Then also private networking, guys. So like referrals, getting referrals. I told you a lot of times your first client will be somebody who you know. DMs, like, right, slide in them LinkedIn DMs, talk with people, okay? And of course word of mouth, but then also applying to RFPs. That is another strategy that's like, okay, that's kind of you moving in silence a little bit, like apply to some RFPs, requests for proposals. If you don't know what that is, join the Public Health Club. We got tons of them in there, but they're basically like when an organization is asking for someone to complete a service. That's literally all it is. An RFP, or request for proposal. It's like a job announcement, but for a consultant. Okay. But yeah, then the next thing that I wanted to bring up with you guys is to think about when it might be time for you to go full time. So for me, it was rough thinking about that. Like I knew that last year, I knew 2024, I wanted to go full time in my business. I knew that. I didn't have a date tied to it. I had nothing tied to it. I had no really things I could measure to say I'm ready. I didn't have much, but I knew like, hey, I knew I wanted to do this. Okay. Now, for me to actually do it and get the kick that I needed, I was actually on a trip. Me and my friends, we went to Napa. And on the way back from Napa, I was like, all right, I'm reading this book. And the book I read was called 2 Weeks Notice by Amy Porterfield. And basically it was like talking about giving your job a 2 weeks notice and building your business and all these things, right? In that book, she had us write down the date that is going to be our last day at the job. I said, oh, okay. And then we also had to think about what all we needed in place financially, all these things. Through doing that exercise, I realized I already had pretty much everything in place financially. I was like, oh, well, now what's the problem? Like, Des, you're good financially to leave. Now what's the problem? The problem was my mindset because I had always done 9 to 5s. And I always had a job. I always worked from somebody else since like high school. Like y'all, since throwback to me working at Burger King. Okay. And always done it. So it's like, okay, now I gotta dive deep into this thing that I know not much about, this business side of everything. And I'm like, whew, all right, let's do it. So I put a date. I think the date was like October 15th was the date. And I remember when I got home from Napa, I got home late that evening. I think I may have got home at like 10. So Riley was already asleep. And my husband was up. And I said, babe, I gotta talk to you. And this was like Labor Day weekend. So this was like September, first week of September. And I told him, I said, babe, my last day of the job gonna be October 15th. He was not happy with me because he said, who told you this? Like, what are you doing? Like, what you mean? You ain't talking to me about this. I said, I'm talking to you now. And he was just like, okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I said, okay. And so, yeah. So we talked about it the next day and I was like, yeah, so I looked at the numbers. I did all the things. I think, within the next month I can leave. Like, I think I'll be good. And, I did it and we've been good. So, it worked out. But I think having that actual date was just like, all right, I needed to tie that to there. And I knew I was ready because I had a steady source of monthly income coming in. I had a steady stream way to get clients. Then I also had multiple streams of revenue. So I had my consulting business. I also had things I was doing with the public health club, right? So like these multiple streams of revenue. I also was an adjunct professor, still am an adjunct professor. So I'm like, all right, Des, like you making money. Like you can make money. That's not the problem. The problem is like you don't have the time. So I gotta be able to have the time to do things, okay? So yeah, I mean, building a consulting business on the side of your full-time job is doable. It is 100% doable, but all of the things that we just discussed, you have to get clear on how you're doing them and just everything like that. So hopefully this episode helped give you that little nudge that you needed to say, all right, Des, I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start building this on the side of my job and let's go. So for those of you who are like, all right, Des, let's go. Come to my Building Your Public Health Consulting Business workshop on September 25th because we are going to be talking all about how to build this business, okay? Because whether you're building as a side hustle or a full-time thing, we're going in and we're learning about it. We're learning strategies and you are going to walk away with knowing exactly what to do to get started in building, okay? Start now. Start when you don't feel ready. Just start, all right? So September 25th, I hope to see you all there. And all right, I'll see you guys next episode.